What's going on, everybody out there, and welcome back to another episode of the Dark Avenger comic book review, the show where we like to talk about the books we read in the previous week as we slowly catch up.
Yep.
We're still a couple of weeks behind. However, this episode 541, covers the books that were released on November 5th, the first week of November 2025. We are working really hard to catch up.
Slowly but surely, we are getting there.
We are getting there, so let's waste no time. Let's get into the book so we can talk about next week's books very soon in the next episode. G.I. Joe, issue number 13. This is the Dreadnought War, part 1 of 5. So for the next 5 issues is the Dreadnought War. There is a lack of Energon, and Cobra is looking for more, and Cobra Commander finds a large deposit somewhere in the world, and it's pulsing. So Cobra Commander goes off to find the Energon, and at the same time, Duke from G.I. Joe also is looking into the pulsing Energon signature, why it's pulsing. And as the title of this miniseries says, it's the Dreadnought War, so there is a betrayal between the Dreadnoughts and Cobra, and Duke is caught in the middle of this betrayal and now has to save Cobra Commander, and they are now locked at the wrist because Duke has Cobra Commander by the, the handcuffs. Really loved it. This was a really excellent issue. I love the Energon universe. There is another book connected in the Energon universe. I didn't put it right after this book like I should have. We'll get to that book soon, but we're going to move forward for now. Excellent book. If you like G.I. Joe, you'll be reading this. I think the G.I. Joe, image run is doing excellent so far. I've really, truly been enjoying it. Going over to IDW, the former owners of G.I. Joe, Godzilla issue number 4. The team is chasing after Godzilla, and they meet up with another kaiju. Kaiju number 6, 7, 8? 6 to 8, one of the numbers, but apparently it's a very smart kaiju, and he has a hatred for Godzilla and wants to kill him. And then you got Jet Jaguar, who's also fighting Godzilla, who's also got this other kid who has the ability to speak with kaijus or feel kaijus, and he's trying to stop Godzilla as well and kind of direct him away from America. This is a very interesting book. The artwork, again, also very interesting. I do enjoy Godzilla. I will say this is a very interesting run for Godzilla. I do also want to point out, I know it didn't come out for the first week of November, but a couple of weeks from now, which as we're recording this is that week, a new pin was released. So for Godzilla, there was a Godzilla pin for issue number 1. For, I believe it's the space one, we just got Mecha Godzilla. That pin was released this week, which is the 3rd week technically of November. So if you've been collecting the pins, keep an eye out at your local comic shop for it, or you already know about it. But Godzilla, this is a very interesting era. Not sure yet. Very interesting, but we'll have to wait and see where this goes. It's definitely IDW trying to be daring with their Godzilla run, kind of like they were with the TMNT.
Right.
I've been liking it. I feel like it could be stronger. We'll have to wait and see where it goes.
Okay, we're getting some Valiant Beyond book, and it's Tales of the Shadowman, issue number 3. So in the last issue, we're finding out actually what happened to Dr. Twist based on what happened in the last issue, at the ending of the issue. And we find out that there's a little bit of a plot twist of how it happened. So the person who was doing the investigation, the detective said, you know what, like, you didn't really find as much information, so she's off duties, whereas Sabrina, who was the photographer of all this, has the story all logged in and everything of what she knows about. But there's a twist about Sabrina, because let's just say it's a very interesting mutation that goes on the bottom part of her body, where it actually, I'll wait till you finish drinking your soda, where it eats people.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, because I didn't want you to be, no. But anyway, so that happens, but the Shadowman actually finds out that she was sent off into the universe where Shadowman goes to face her. Why are you doing that?
I don't know.
Anyway, So they have a one-on-one battle with each other, and then of course the Shadowman obviously wins that one, but he's still trying to find out that he is Jack Boniface because he's still finding out who is Jack Boniface. So with that, the woman who got released from the job tries to help Shadowman remember it, but instead knocks him out with her magic spells that she obviously has that nobody else but herself knows. So now the next issue is going to be very interesting about what we're going to find out that's going to happen in the next issue as well as the following issues of Shadowman himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
VR Troopers issue number 4, Ryan's mom. This is basically a big backstory or flashback. What happened to the main character's mom, father, what led Zoltar into that reality, why Ryan's family is gone. It's a big literally be ready for... See, I like how this comic is kind of really delving a lot deeper than the TV show, because again, the TV show was a 90s TV show that was kind of like Beetleborgs, Power Rangers, all the other ones that you kind of, we had, but they didn't really go into deep lore with. This book delves into the lore of what happened to Ryan's family through his mother, who explains the story. And it was a really good backstory that I think if you are a fan of VR Troopers, you really will want to check this out, because it gives you what happened to Ryan's dad and mom and how her life has forever been changed, how his father's life is forever changed, and how it all connects to him becoming a VR Trooper and how it connects to him having to save his father. I like this issue. I like VR Troopers. It's definitely something to check out. Now, this I should have put with G.I. Joe. Next time I'll be a little bit smarter. Void Rivals, issue number 24. This kind of, again, Void Rivals connected with Transformers. Transformers are in this book. They actually showed up in Void Rivals. Void Rivals kicked off the Energon universe, which was then followed by G.I. Joe, which was then finally followed by Transformers. Now, there are Transformers in this book. The Transformers got involved in this civil war between these two types of people, or these two types of alien races, and there's a lot of backstory and a lot of stuff that I'm not going to sit here and get into just talking about one issue, but this is the issue 24 kind of is the ramifications of everything that's been going on in the book so far. So I really don't want to delve too deep into it. I want to wait and get into a new arc, which I feel like we're kind of going to get into with the next book, but issue 24 kind of is just like this is what happened after the first couple of arcs, because the two main characters are in their separate factions, and they're both being punished for what happened in previous story arcs. So it's hard for me to talk about this book because, again, it's very involved. It was very involved from issue 1 to now. All I can say is Void Rivals has been a pleasant surprise for me since I read the first issue. Since issue 1, it's been an enjoyable ride. If you've been following the Energon universe, you will definitely be following Void Rivals. If you haven't, check out the trade paperbacks. You won't be sorry. I believe there's already a hardcover for Void Rivals. I might be wrong. I know there is for Transformers and G.I. Joe. I believe Void Rivals has one too. Definitely check out Void Rivals trades if you haven't. Really good book. And that's the end of the image. That's the, well, it is Image. That's the end of the Independence. We're going into Marvel now. Alien vs. Captain America, issue number 1. I decided to try this book out because I said, why not? We have Predator versus the Marvel Universe. We had Predator and Alien and whatnot. Why not? So we're going with Captain America. This issue is a big setup issue. The Red Skull finds the alien eggs. The alien eggs are discovered by the Nazis and the Red Skull. You have Captain America, who's in it at the start, and then he disappears for a bit, and we have them discovering the alien eggs because it's buried on Earth. It kind of connects a little bit to like when they had the Predator versus Alien and they used Earth as their battleground. Think of it that way. And they get the eggs and they decide to weaponize it, of course, against America and to help them win the war. Enters Captain America and the American Army towards the end of the first issue, And now they're left to deal with an entire town that was destroyed by the aliens, that were used by the Nazis and by the Red Skull to gestate the alien eggs. And now Cap is going to be stuck fighting an army of aliens, it looks like. Artwork was really good. Story was interesting. I'm definitely hooked to see what happens next with this miniseries. But again, it's one of those things where if you like Aliens and Predators, this is a book that you'll be checking out. If you don't, you probably won't be.
Alright, now I did read issue number 1 off camera, and I did want to review this book of the issue number 2, Spirits of Violence, issue number 2. This is a Ghost Rider story, and I could just sum up like basically issue number 1. So basically, it's basically the Decay who took over the sister of Danny's sister, Barbara. And they were looking last issue about where her whereabouts were, and Johnny's trying to tell Danny that she is with the Decay, and then Danny didn't want to believe him because she thinks that, you know, her sister's like the strong fighter of all that. And we got a little backstory of that. So now in this issue, Danny does go to Barbara, and he kind of does find out that she is, but she's in her normal form. And then she was saying, I had to join the Decay for you, to keep you safe and everything. And then Danny doesn't really like that she did that. So there's a big fight scene that happens between them while Johnny's stuck in the other universe, which was explained issue number 1. And the artwork, I have to say, was really good in this issue of Spirits of Violence. And like I said, there was a whole big fight that broke out. And then in the end, let's just say that Danny didn't really get the upper hand of Barbara.
Did Dawkins show up in the book yet? Because that's Dawkins.
I think he actually did towards the middle of it when he saw Johnny in the different universe.
Okay,
and trying to help him.
Because I see we've got
but this is actually the Decay who are the main villains of this story and got Barbara under their control. So, but yeah, he does help Johnny in this book. Thank you for reminding me his name. I couldn't remember. But yeah, really interesting book. I can't wait to see, like, I'm hooked on this and can't wait to see how further issues is going to be for this comic book. And another one I want to give a try, why not? Planet She-Hulk issue number 1. So, Planet She-Hulk basically talks about, she fights off against these Titans, whereas there's a wedding that that they want her to go to. She's not really fond of the wedding because this guy is known to marry like 5 wives, basically, on the planet that she's on. I can't remember. Do you remember what planet Hulk was on or anything?
No.
Well, I couldn't remember. It's like a long name. But anyway, so during the issues and as she's fighting the Titans, like at first she doesn't want to be the guest of honor, but then, because he's not really good at parties or anything, so then she's like saying, you know what the hell, I'll just go there. And she does go there, and she tries to keep, you know, everything looks nice and everything else, but then there are certain attackers who come to crash the wedding, and one of the people who she actually fought against killed the person's wife, and he finds out and is not so happy about this. So how that's all gonna turn out afterwards, that is to be continued. Really like the book and the artwork as well. Definitely gotta check it out if you're a Planet She-Hulk fan.
Amazing Spider-Man number 15. We're back to Pete in space for this issue. So we're bouncing back and forth every other issue between Pete and what's going on Earth. So now Pete. We find out that his suit is actually a living robot, and he doesn't like that. And so let me actually rewind a bit. Pete ends up having to be in a tournament because Rocket owes money, and there's a huge bounty on Rocket. So to get Rocket out of his debt, Pete, because Spider-Man is popular in space, signs up for this match. This I don't want to say wrestling match. It's a fight to the death kind of match. But he doesn't realize that. He ends up in this fight and then finds out that his suit is actually a living robot, and it's being forced under control so that he has a suit that protects him, and he doesn't like it, so he asks how to do the override. He overrides it. We get a new character, a very, very, I don't give a crap about anything or anybody, I'm just here existing kind of attitude robot who ends up giving Pete back his costume a bit. It's a little less powerful now because it was reset and the robot is freed. However, he gives Pete back the costume, which gives him a bit of his ability. Well, not his abilities. It gives him back a little bit of his edge, you know, his costume, his webbing and whatnot. And he's able to get back into it and win. There's a bit of a romance going on in the book as well. I won't spoil that, but I do like we have a new character now in this suit. And this is a really good book. I don't know. Again, I can't recommend it because I'm still a little angry at Marvel, and you all know why. I don't have to tell y'all. But I hate that Marvel's being so hard-assed about Amazing Spider-Man. Unless they're going to just do a swerve, and in issue number 1000, they're going to do something. If this is the biggest swerve, this is the biggest swerve in history that Marvel has ever done. Because they've kept a stone face for well over almost 20 years. No, maybe 15. I would say 15 years. So if this was the plan, as we get to issue 1000, Marvel, if this is really what you do, when we hit issue 1000, I want to give them a huge kudos for they've been stone-faced about Mary Jane and Peter Parker, that they don't want them together. So if there's a swerve when we get to issue 1000, damn. If there isn't, I won't be surprised. But I've been loving Amazing Spider-Man. Up to you if you want to read it. If you don't want to read it, again, it's an entertaining story for sure. One of my very few Age of Revelation books, Laura Kinney, Sabertooth, issue number 2 of 3. Big fight issue. So, a group of mutants decide to leave the area where Laura's, I can't remember who's leading it, but he wants Laura to stop them from leaving. Obviously, this does not go well, and they end up running to escape. And Gabby, Daken, who is not called Daken in this book, are two of the people that stay behind to stop Laura and the Authority from letting them go. So they all escape. There is a death, another death in this book. Again, any of the deaths in this book, none of it matters, because once the Age of Revelation undoes itself, I'm sure we won't have to worry about any of the deaths. But there is a death in this book, and it is at the hands of Laura once again. And the others escape. However, they escape into more dangerous arms. Whose arms do they escape to? Find out in the next review.
Okay, and another Age of Revelation book, Longshots issue number 2, continuing off the Longshots TV show that is still going on. And basically in this issue, there's just like a whole big runaround about, you know, who they want to add, who they want to get rid of. And just to give you like a sum up of this book, it basically has just Wonder Man and I think Wanda was her name as the two least characters who Mojo doesn't like that's going to be in there because, you know, the ratings he really cares about for the show. So there's just like this whole big runabout of that, and then where Galactus was actually going to be part of the show was actually another robot. And Mojo's like saying, wait, what the hell is going on here? I'm asking for these characters and this is happening and that's happening, and he doesn't really like how it's really turning out. So it's just like a whole big thing. And I don't want to give like too much away because I really want you guys to definitely read this book, but it looks like that the TV show is going to be going a different route in a way that maybe might help them in the rating, or if somebody can go in the TV show to help them out. We'll find out as the issue continues on for the next one, but I'm liking the book. It's actually really interesting. But
Moon Knight, Fists of Khonshu, issue number 14. Mark and Scarlet Scarab. Well, Moon Knight and Scarlet Scarab versus all the people they killed in their previous life. And they can't hurt them. They can't use their powers against them because they are people that they killed in the past. And I love how Moon Knight figures out, okay, Mark can't, but somebody else can. So they switch to Jake, and Jake starts to try to talk with the spirit and say, hey, you're being forced out of happiness, because I'm sure when you were dead you were happy, we need to find a way to stop the person who's forcing you here, forcing you to fight us, to get you to go back to the afterlife where you were all happy, because Mark and Scarlet Scarab are dead. They died already. They're brought back as, obviously, what are they called? Proxies for Khonshu and I forget what the Scarlet Spirit's a proxy of. So, I think he's starting to get through the spirits. However, the person who's controlling the spirits finds Wrecker and decides to make Wrecker atone for all of his sins by getting him possessed by all the people he's killed. It don't look so good for Moon Knight in the next issue, let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
I am enjoying this book. I love Moon Knight. I highly recommend checking it out. The artwork is very great in this. Is very good in this book as well. It's really great. Moving into DC Comics, I loved this issue. Absolute Green Lantern, issue number 8. I have not read Absolute Green Lantern yet. I fell behind. However, I heard this was a good book to jump into because the first arc and a half are done, and this kind of gives us a backstory to the main character. As a matter of fact, it gives us such a backstory. It starts from her childhood, leads into her getting into the army. We get to see Guy Gardner. We get to see a lot of the Green Lantern characters in this book. As she's going through this academy, she has a bit of a romance with Renee Montoya. And it looks like she's fighting against her wants in this book at the start. And then as we move forward, she ends up getting married because she ends up moving away from her father and away from her life where she was basically being controlled by a specific way of thinking. So she moves away and meets this woman, gets married, and this woman's always busy, always away, and she's trying to figure her life out, and Renee comes back, and her and Renee end up in this like secret relationship or sex ship, I would say, behind the wife's back, and they end up getting a divorce. Her father dies. She ends up going back for the funeral, and then obviously we get into the Green Lantern stuff, and we jump back into the present where, again, now I don't know what's been going on. I really do need to go back and at least skim over the past 7 issues, but she's in trouble and goes back to her wife's store, and her ex-wife obviously lets her in. And I will say, not knowing the character and reading her backstory first, I'm now invested in Absolute Green Lantern. I'm going to go back and read the previous 7 issues. This was an excellent read. I already recommended this book to one person, and she read it, and she really liked it. So definitely give this book a read. Jump on friendly, and then you can go back and read the previous 7 issues. Staying in the Absolute Universe, we have Absolute Superman, issue number 13. Superman versus, oh God, why can't I remember his name? Oh, is it on the cover maybe?
Wait, hold on.
No, I thought they would mention it. But Superman defends Smallville. He uses his cape and lets his cape kind of cover over Smallville to protect it from the attack. Vandal Savage. From Vandal Savage and his army. This entire book is about Superman versus Vandal Savage. He ends up saving Smallville, but again, Smallville's being protected by the Cape, which is the Fortress of Solitude, or Soul. And he's finally starting to make a connection with humanity, which he's always kind of stayed apart from. He's now showing... We're getting to see the Superman we all know coming through in the Darkseid universe as well. I really love this issue. It was really action-packed. Artwork's really good for this book. Absolute Superman is my #1 favorite book from the Absolute universe right now. Definitely something to check out. If you haven't been reading it, definitely go back and read some of the past issues before you get into this one, but definitely check out Absolute Superman. Staying with Superman, Avengers of Superman, Book of L, issue number 3. Superman versus Brainiac in the future. Dragged into the future, Superman fights Brainiac. Artwork in this book was excellent, I will say that. And this whole book is about Superman stopping Brainiac, fighting Brainiac, and finding a way to get home. And he does find a way to get home. However, he can't go home because there are two other people who ended up getting lost in the initial attack that dragged Superman into the future. And if Superman leaves, they're going to get lost in the future. So now he's forced to stay because someone, I won't spoil who, has them. And it's going to be up to Superman to save them. Will he be able to save them? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. I believe this is a 12-issue maxi series. So we're just fresh at the start. There's still 9 more issues to go. So there's a lot of room for a lot of different things to go on. I thought the fight with Brainiac was good. The artwork was done really well. I like how we have the future L who is learning from Superman and getting stronger at being that time Superman. But obviously once Superman goes back, everything's going to set back to normal. But till then, really good book.
Cheetah and Cheshire robbed the Justice League issue number 4. And if you see the cover, it basically explains the whole thing of what's going on in this issue, where Barbara has this plan about how to get the reactor based on the Watchtower and tries to come up with a plan. But what she knows that nobody else knew was that Wonder Woman is actually going to be a part of watching the Watchtower. So she knew about it. And she can't teleport because of reasons that they say in this book. So the girl who's in the middle, I think Lion, whatever her name was, volunteers, because Barbara, they said no, she volunteers to go to the Watchtower to basically, talk with them and just see what she can do and how she can get the whole reactor thing. And then the end of the issue, Barbara did go to the Watchtower and was caught by Wonder Woman, saying, "What are you doing here?" Because she wasn't allowed to go there, as the group said that she wasn't supposed to. So she teleported there without anyone knowing and seeing it. And now that Wonder Woman caught her, the plan could be all destroyed, all thanks to her. To be continued. Really interesting cliffhanger for that one. I can't wait to see how that's going to continue on.
Batman issue number 3, Batman versus the Riddler, and it looks like the Riddler is actually being put up to doing the caper in this book. However, I have to stop for a moment and mention this. So, we all know what happened in the previous issues. Batman goes to visit Tim, who is in the hospital, who, is recovering from their trip, because as far as everybody's concerned, he was on a cycling trip with Bruce and got hurt. I don't like the boyfriend. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. Bernard I did not... I mean, I get where Bernard's coming from in this issue, kind of keeping Bruce and Tim apart, and you can see that Tim's not happy about it, because he kind of doesn't like that Bernard's getting into the way, and he's kind of forcing Bruce out of the hospital room. However, Bernard does make a mention to Bruce, I notice every time you and Tim do something together, Tim comes back really hurt. And he kind of gives like a soft, I guess it's a passive-aggressive kind of warning, takes the flowers that Bruce was bringing to Tim and says, "Thanks for the flowers," and goes back to Tim's room and excuses Bruce and says Tim needs his rest. I don't like characters that are like that. I just find them very annoying, because it's like, we all know who Tim is. We all know who Bruce is. And then you have Bernard, who's in the middle of it all. And, yeah. No. That's the annoying spouse or partner or person of dating interest for however long that gets in the way of the superhero being a superhero. Because Tim wasn't even with Bruce originally. This whole book started with Tim doing his own thing and Bruce saving Tim. Just saying. But again, Bernard seems like a character that's going to get on my nerves if he is in the book. I do know that he was introduced during the horrible Robin was supposed to be ongoing series turned miniseries, because the artwork was terrible in the book. I remember I bought issue 1. Cover was beautiful, amazing. I thought that was going to be the internal artwork. And then you open the book, and oh my God, I don't understand how anyone at DC Comics said, yes, that's a good idea, but I was waiting for a Tim Drake ongoing series forever to get that. And I was very upset when that happened. The book is not around anymore. It got canceled after, I think, only about a half a year to a year, but that's where Bernard was introduced. Oof.
Big oof.
It's all I'm going to say. But as far as Batman #3 goes, excellent book. Love the artwork. Love the Batsuit. Vandal Savage is trying to peg Batman as the evil that needs to be expelled from Gotham. So he's on GCPD's hit list. And he's trying all different ways to get Batman in trouble. Commissioner Gordon and Harvey are working on their own now. They're no longer with the GCPD. They're kind of their own private detective organization, and they work with Batman. And yeah, it's insane, but I love it. Batman is doing really, really well. And then finally this week, part 1 of 4 DCKO tie-in, or I should say DCKO miniseries, KnightFight, issue number 1. So we all know that Batman was eliminated in the first issue. This book takes up right where that leaves off, with Batman losing, becoming a statue, and then apparently what no one knew was Batman borrowed a mother box and put it into his suit. So he was able to break free from the statue prison. You know, if you lose, you end up becoming a statue till the tournament's over. Well, he finds a way to break through that and gets back to Earth. However, he doesn't get back to the main Earth. He gets back to an Earth that is apart from his, because there's a whole multiverse thing going on with KO for some reason. So he ends up on this Earth where that world's Bruce is older and has gone crazy. Dick is the new Batman, and he commands hundreds of Robins, and Gotham is like this well-protected utopia now because of Dick as Batman. And Batman...
It's really revolving around Robin a lot.
Yeah. And Batman's Bruce is at a disbelief and Dick thinks that Batman is the crazy one. I guess he'll figure it out as the series goes on that it's not. Long fight story short, and a lot of dialogue short, Bruce ends up asking for where the other Robins went, since Dick obviously went from being Nightwing to Batman. And it turns out that world's Bruce killed all of them. And that's where the book kind of leaves off, with that type of cliffhanger.
Wait, didn't Nightwing become Batman after he died? The original?
In the original.
But this is a different universe.
This is different.
Okay, because that was what I was trying to...
So Batman's still around, he's just in this miniseries now.
Well, yeah,
and this is where he's going to be for the next 4 months.
Okay.
So I'm interested in seeing where this miniseries goes. It looks really, really interesting in this nightmare kind of universe where that world's Bruce went crazy and Dick was the one that took over as Batman. Really nice miniseries. Is it necessary to DCKO, though? What do you think I'm going to say? No.
I even figured you were going to say
If you want to follow Batman, because he was eliminated from the tournament from issue number 1, yes. Pick this book up. It will be what's going on with Batman for the 4 months plus that we get DCKO. If you don't care about what happens with Batman, if you didn't care that Batman was eliminated in issue number 1, if you don't normally read Batman, this might be something you could wait till later. Maybe they'll make... I'm positive they're going to make a library edition or an omnibus collecting every single miniseries, tie-in, and the entire KO.
With DCKO, it'll be like every issue.
It'll be everything connected to DCKO in this nice big omnibus. It'll cost about $100. It'll be out probably this time next year. And you get all that for, if you want to get the big book. Or if you're interested in collecting all the KO books, I'm guilty for that. You'll be picking this up. Along with every other tie-in and miniseries that's coming out of DCKO. They just mentioned that DCKO is going to have a miniseries that goes into multiple different universes. Sub-Zero, Red Sonja, Vampirella. I don't know how DC Comics pulled it off, but apparently they signed a contract with multiple different companies and their characters are going to be making guest appearances in KO. We'll see where this goes, but I'm buying everything, so Nightfall, I thought it was a really good book. Do you have to read it, though, to understand what's going on in KO? Maybe not. I don't know yet. I gotta see where the miniseries goes, but it looks like it's where Batman went after issue number 1. So if you care where Batman went after issue 1, you'll want to read Nightfall. If you don't care, you won't.
Yep, up to them.
You won't need it. It's up to you. Good artwork. Very intriguing story, I will say that. So, up to you. And with that, that's it for this review, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We will be back as soon as we can with issue number 542 and 543 because the issues or the comics that came out as of this recording are 2 weeks from now. So, episode 543 books are released already. So we're going to rush to do last week's books for 542, and we'll hopefully be back here even sooner for 543, and then we'll be caught up in a perfect world where we can get all of our books read. We'll be caught up. We're trying to catch up before the start of the new year. We'll see what happens. I know that we're going to be starting the haul videos. I'm probably going to do October's books this week when they come in, because we're recording this Sunday, so Monday's when the books come in. And then as we get closer to the new year, we are going to start transitioning back to a weekly delivery format, and we'll be doing weekly comic book hauls again. But that's 2 months from now. We're talking about now. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you really soon in the next review. Take care. Keep reading, keep collecting. We'll see all of you in the next episode.
Later, everyone.